Coffee. Is there anything started? Yes, it is. So you can start typing in what is it you are aware about the PI planning. So today's session is all about discussing what happens before PI planning, during PI planning, and after PI planning. We will try to cover as much detail as possible from the roles, from the response, from the inputs, from the outputs, and what happens when before the PA planning also. Majority of the cases, that is what we identified, that there is a small gap in the understanding or in the from the implementation perspective. That's one reason why we are having this conversation today. So there is one thing, and during the PI planning and after PI planning also, we will discuss what happens when, who is responsible for what, and what's the role of each and every associate working from that safe implementation perspective. So focus is about the PI planning. The other concepts we will discuss in the other sessions, but for today's session, the focus is majorly on the PI planning. Okay, yeah, you can start typing in the answers. What is it you are aware? Scaling of Scrum across portfolio and big solution. Okay. See 20 participants. In case you joined just now, you can do that. You can unmute and you can share as well. Planning event.
It's a 2-day planning event for the next quarter or whatever it is. Number of sprints planned.
Okay.
Planned.
Okay. Quarterly planning for better visibility. Okay. Okay. Nice.
So it is the I agree with the quarterly plan, which happens across different value streams across the product.
Okay. Different value streams across the products. Nice. Yeah. So okay. We will talk about that in a way, the value streams and the products, because if someone is not aware or if you want to clarify it, we will discuss about that. Thanks.
Yes, Satish, I'm new to SAFe, so please.
Sure. We will cover that brief about the where the PI planning come into context and all this. That's why we scheduled for 3 hours. Again, just to clarify, this is still 3 hours. I mean, till 9 p.m. IST. In the middle, we can take a break. That's fine. It is all up to us. We be prepared for that. Okay. What is PI planning? What functionality can be delivered in the PI? Okay. Okay.
Another thing, Sachin is Satish, is that if at all, if you want to have a strategic vision which is aligned with the organizational initiatives, then you try to launch art. And
yes,
you can have multiple arts, but if for each art, when you launch it, you have a cadenced event, which is like a 2 days at PA planning, and then we'll have 2 sprints, which will run across. So within the PA planning is more or less like an event within that art which is being launched to align the strategic initiatives with the organizational vision.
Okay. Yes, you brought up another point, Amrish. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that is one of the important aspects. Yes. Yeah, well,
we will touch that as well.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks. Okay. Yes, so where are we? Capacity for 4 iteration to plan with respect to backlog. Okay, fine. Okay, sorry, I forgot to change the clean coffee. Still it is there, but that's fine. So let me move on to the framework. So today's, I am not using any presentation, just to clarify. All the things we are used is directly the scaleagileFramework.com. It is an open source link, which means all of you will have access to that. And we will be using a couple of Excel sheets and maybe the presentation which Anand prepared from his side. We will be using that today's session, and we will share all those documents through a Google Drive to all of you. Okay, so my first recommendation to any of us, whoever is getting started, or even in the even during the journey, during the implementation also, my recommendation is to refer to the scaleagileFramework.com directly any point of time. Reason, we never know when a new article or new change might be coming up on the framework. So if you are referring to any presentation or any PDF or any document, we might be missing that latest updates.
Yeah.
That's the one main reason. And any of the training material is copyrighted. It is not supposed to use outside any training sessions. So that's why whenever I do any sessions on the Scale Agile or anything, I prefer referring to the scaleagileframework.com because it is easy to share, easy to refer, easy to discuss. That too, when we are recording a session, and it might be visible to every others after a while also. Right? Okay. So then the moment we launch this framework, many of us might get confused. Do I need to go through all these things? Do I need to get, I might get lost once I start looking at it. No need to worry about it. If in case you're starting just now on the safe implementation, click on Essential Safe and just take a look at the only the release train level or a program level. What is a release train? We all know that what is a team or Scrum team? A Scrum Master, Product Owner, and a set of team members coming together, working together as a team for delivering one common implementation from the backlog. That is what a Scrum team. The multiple Scrum teams coming together, working together, we call it as an Agile release train. And that whole Agile release train will be focused on delivering one common solution. When you say one common solution, it is not like pick up 2 teams from banking, 3 teams from insurance, 1 team from marketing, and make them as a release train. It won't work.
Sorry,
The
Satish, I didn't
typical,
get you. No, I didn't get you.
the Agile release train, the composition of Agile release train is 5 to 12 Scrum teams. So when you say 5 to 12 Scrum teams, how we align that 5 to 12 Scrum teams together as an Agile release train. The first step is to identify what the common solution they are working together. Or can these teams work together? Can they deliver a common solution? Yeah. So we can't bring teams from different modules or different products and call them as Agile release train just for the namesake. Right? Simple example, like if you take a typical train, if we club 2 compartments of Pune, 3 compartments of Bangalore, 1 compartment of Chennai together from Hyderabad, will the train reach the destination? All the compartments within that train should be focused towards one destination, one final destination of the solution.
So
Right?
just to
Any
add,
real-time example, Satish?
Yes, sure. We are coming there. Yeah, Anand, don't add that.
yeah, just to add what you said, Satish, that Agile release train, which is a team of Agile teams together, right? As Satish said, should have a common business vision and a common product vision, okay, which is to be delivered to the stakeholders, okay. It, as Satish said, something from insurance, something from banking, something from telecom, right? That cannot form a train, right? Because everything will have a different business context, different business vision, right? So whatever we are talking about, right? It has to have a same business vision or business context, right? To be delivered, all the teams in a agile release train should be aligned to that vision. Okay, then only it will make sense to form, a train which is a team of agile teams together.
We will
Yeah.
explain a little bit more, Venkatesh, when we go to the pointers, so you might get more clarity.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that is where Danya's point of the value streams start coming up.
Value
We will
streams.
touch base.
Yeah,
We will touch
exactly.
base in a moment. Okay, so let me stop sharing for a moment so that I will share the whole screen. Okay, you are still able to see now? You are able to see?
Yes, 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 Satish.
Yes.
Satish.
So this is from my previous one of my previous presentation when we are doing some training session. I will share this information as well. Whatever we are discussing today, I will share all the details. Okay. So the essential configuration is like basic configuration to start with safe implementation. We have 5 to 12 agile teams. That is what we are discussing. So all this we will discuss. But going a step ahead, like the large solution is about a complex or a complicated solution, and we will come there. Okay, let's discuss about this large solution first and then go to the portfolio. Okay, the large solution. Okay, before going that, let me bring up this Excel sheet. Okay, now SS Agile Gurus, for example, wants to launch a banking platform. We are all the part of SS Agile Gurus want to launch a new banking platform. So we all will come together and will define a vision. Okay, let's call it as a QBank is our product. What is the tagline? A gateway for all the banking transactions. What is the vision we want to define for our banking app or banking solution? Simple, hassle-free experience for your secure banking transactions. So we are adding the word secure banking transactions. And what are the customer segments we are targeting? Peer-to-peer, peer-to-business, and business-to-business. So these are the customer segments we are targeting. So what is the vision? We define the vision, but what is our strategy? When you have multiple banks already, what is our unique factor? What is that? Why do the customers have to onboard with us as a QBank customers? That is where we are defining the strategy. For banking customers who would like to perform regular day-to-day banking transactions, the QBank web application is a one-stop solution that provides all required services in a single place to help minimize customers visit the branch for these tasks. Right? We are defining the statement telling that why a customer should onboard with us as a banking customer compared to the other banks. So that is what we defined as a strategy, right? Then we define who are our target customers, right? So that is where I define Kranti, the consumer, the customer. This is all the typical persona, what any general product, when they want to start, they will focus on doing that. Who is our target customer? What is the challenges or what is the problem statement they are doing? And what is that they are expecting from the solution or from the product which you are planning to launch? So we can define as many personas. I define one persona for the time being, and we can define multiple personas like this.
So personas
now,
basically the roles, Satish. Sorry to interrupt.
not the roles. Who is our target customer? We are planning to launch a banking application. Now, who is our target customers? Maybe or by doing the market analysis, what sort of customers might be interested to get on board, or what's the typical challenges the customers are going through with the current banking solutions. The market analysis research will happen. That is common for any product as such, right? That is where we, as a organization, we might have did that with a research team and we got these details. So this persona is our target customer and these are the problem statements or these are the context of that specific customer. When we say the customer, there is just a not a actual name or actual details of the customer, but they are the target customer whom we are planning to deliver the product.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add is this is where design thinking and empathy maps come into play.
Exactly.
Where we just try to find out what are the customers seeing, what are they hearing, what are they feeling in terms of their pain points. And currently, what issues are there they are facing, and what might be a solution that can actually make their life smoother. Like, for example, if they feel certain things are still, if it's online, it can make their life smooth. What are the things that they would require online? So that is like trying to understand their kinesthetics in terms of what they hear, they feel, and then putting across using design thinking what are the different ways in which you can actually put up a prototype and then get the ideation, and then actually trying to put a persona saying I as a persona what is my pain point versus Satish as a persona, what does he want? Like that, if I get a segmentation and try to do from multiple people, that becomes my use cases, which will help me to come up with more requirements that will satisfy at least my minimum viable product.
Thanks, Amrish, for adding that.
Yeah. So basically, these are all the design thinking tools, right? Persona, empathy maps, and other things, right? Which will help to define who is our customer, what are their pain points, and other things, right? So that is where the persona is actually defining over here, right? Who is this Kranti, right? She is one of our consumer or a personal banker who is going to use our product, right? So what is that? What are her challenges? What she would want to have, right? What she does, right? As Ambrish said, right? All the kinesthetics and what she hears, what she does, what pain points, what she expects, right, out of this, could all that be defined in this persona, and then with the empathy map we can actually try to understand the customer better.
So basically,
Does
it
it
is the
answer?
requirement. Yeah, I think it's basically the requirements of a targeted customer, right?
Sort of, yes. They are not the requirements as such, ideally, but from taking this as a baseline, we will start defining the requirements.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Okay, sure. Okay, so now taking this as a baseline, we start defining the release map or release plan. Or maybe even before going there, maybe the product roadmap. All of you mentioned or some of you mentioned that the PI planning is for the quarterly planning. But when we say the quarterly planning, we will just not focus only on that quarterly plan. Along with that, these are the old dates, don't worry about it. But yes, along with that, let's suppose this is the quarter we are starting. Now, what is it we are targeting to achieve in the current quarter? What's the next quarter? What's the next quarter? What's the next quarter? We will start defining everything. What is it we would like to achieve? What is it we would like to deliver? What is it we would like to release to the customers or to the end users, to the market? That is what we will start defining the product roadmap. So you are getting it. So these are all the things happen before PI planning, as part of a pre-PI planning. Before even coming into that, the PI planning as an event, all this background work will happen. And we as a team member or a scrum master or any coach, at times the coach might get involved, but as a scrum master or a team member, we might not be involved in any of these activities. So we might not be even aware of that. These are the things happen. And that is how we got our features defined for the PI planning. But this is all the groundwork happens even before coming into the PI planning. Right? Are you good? Till now?
Yes, sir.
And who is owning this defining part, the prerequisite for the PI?
The product manager,
Good
along
question.
with the stakeholders. Yes. The product manager along with the architects and the business stakeholders.
It could be a team of product managers, right? Product management team. Okay, there could be more than one product manager, but yeah, they are mainly the content owners of the roadmap. Okay, and they devise this roadmap based on the business priorities, business context, and what exactly the business needs, right? So they very closely coordinate with the business stakeholders, right? They do the market research, they do various other things before coming up with this kind of a roadmap, which spans across multiple quarters or multiple PI, right? And they just form a kind of a high level baseline that this is what we would target next, this is what we would target next, and so on and so forth, right? And then that becomes a very good input, for our PI planning preparation activities, right? Which Satish was talking about.
This we saw, right? Roadmap. Is it for the art or the entire?
Right now, we are still discussing about one solution, QBank as a solution. So this is for one solution. We haven't even came to the art level. We are still at the solution level.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, the QBank as a solution for which we are still discussing about the product roadmap or the personas or what is it required to be done.
Here,
Okay.
one question, Satish.
Yes.
Okay, so right from that design thinking itself, the product manager along with the business stakeholders discuss, and while building this roadmap, then he discuss along with the architect, and we are preparing that. That's how
Yes.
that road goes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I'm going to the framework for a moment. See, as you can see, the business owners, the product management, architect, and RT, they all come together, and RT, release train engineer, will be as a facilitator for the release train level events. He will make sure like all these discussions happen. So this is what we are discussing right now, the customer centricity and the design thinking techniques, the empathy maps, the personas, or the user journey map, or the customer journey map. All these happens even before defining the release train backlog or a product level backlog. Then comes the PI planning. So we are still discussing here. Right now, we are at this stage.
Does that mean the outcome of those discussions come as a prerequisite for the plan?
Exactly. So
Yes.
the outcome of this will be input for this release train level backlog. And that is where the prioritization happens using a recommended approach of weighted shortage job first, or the organization can follow their own prioritization technique. Then comes the PI plan.
Okay, this flow, Satish, this is what it is confusing looking at that. Please let us know the flow where to start with. So we have to start with the customer centricity.
Centricity. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, please mention that also. Otherwise, it is confusing.
Yes, sure. That's why I came back to the framework. So let me explain the framework. Then we will go to the Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the team level, we all know that the team level, like the roles plus either Scrum or Kanban, or combined together along with the XP and the built-in quality and the team backlogs. So this is all the known factors to all of us. So now that's the reason I'm not focusing more on that. But the first step at the release train is like, even before coming here, let me go to the portfolio just for a moment, right? So the organization, enterprise, or as an organization, that is where they define the operational value streams. What is it we would like to launch? What is it we would like to release? What is it we would like to define? What is it we would like to bring it to the market, to the customers? That is where first step at the enterprise level, they will start it, and through which the themes, the vision at the organization or at the enterprise level will start coming up, from where the value streams and the solutions, different solutions will come. But we will discuss it at a later point of time. Now, again, I'm going back to the essential. Now, let's assume we are a startup. SSAG Group as a startup, we are focusing on one solution. So no need to worry about the portfolio. We know that QBank is our solution. For that solution, first step is to start with the customer centricity. We want to launch the QBank, but what about the customers? Once we launch, will the customers use our product? Or what is it the customers expect from us? Or what is it the customers, the problems or challenges are going through? That is where the understanding the customer starts with the customer centricity. For that, we will be using different techniques or different tools which are defining the design thinking as a technique. Right? Are you good till now? So that is where the flow starts at the any release train level. Once that is defined, the lean UX, the user experience. Okay, now that we want to define there is where the tools, the techniques, the approaches,
Satish,
the
sorry,
versions.
for last 30 seconds, you were frozen. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah. I was just about to check whether it was only me or rest of the
Sure.
No, same.
Yeah.
I also face the same. Yeah.
Sure. Let me repeat it. So, anytime the release train level, the solution implementation starts with customer centricity. Let's suppose SS Agile Gurus as an organization, we want to launch QBank as a product. We want to launch it, but what about the customers? Once we launch it, do the customers like it? Do the customers even use it? Or even before going there, what's the current challenges or the problem statements the customers are going through with the existing solutions or existing banking applications, where we can make a differentiating factor? How we can start showcasing or selling our unique selling point. That is where the customer centricity as a factor starts coming into context. For that, we have different design thinking tools, design thinking techniques like empathy map, customer journey map, user story mapping, the personas, all these comes in the design thinking. Just a moment, I'm clicking on that. The reason why I'm using that framework is like the moment you click on it, the new tab with the details will start coming up. See? This is what the design thinking is. Understand the problem, discover what the problem you want to solve, and define it in the form of vision or the strategy or the personas, and then design the right solution. You want to design the solution, implement it, but focus is to design the right solution. How we can define the right solution? By understanding the problem thoroughly. It's not like what we are good at or what we want to do as an organization, but it is to understand what the customer's pain point and start understanding it and start implementing it. That's where the developing and delivering factor, the design the right solution is coming as a second diamond.
Yeah,
Yes, Anand,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Satish. When you finish, then I'll.
Sure. So it's not that like the solution which you are delivering or planning to do should be desirable. That is what whether customers will use it or not, and whether it is feasible, whether it is viable, whether it is sustainable, how frequent we can deliver it, how long this product can sustain in the market, that too with the competitors, with the customers change in the mindset or the thought process, and viability factor. Like Tesla, they want to launch an autonomous vehicle. Is it viable? Is it feasible within Indian roads or Indian traffic system? Like that, like each and every factor starts coming into thing. We need to start focusing on that, and we need only then start building the solution. Yes, Anand?
Yeah. So just wanted to add here while Satish was explaining, right? Two parts, right? Understanding the problem and then designing the right solutions. So here, we use a kind of a divergent and convergent approach, okay? Wherein what we actually try to discover while understanding the problem is what exactly the customer's pain areas are. Now, how we might facilitate that? We might conduct a survey, right? We might go and meet the customer, right? That is what SAFE recommends, right? Go see Gemba, right? You go to the customer place, right? Try to understand their problems, okay? It's a kind of a divergent approach, okay? Wherein you will try to collect all the problems together, right? What kind of problems the customer is facing. And then, based on certain things, okay, you prioritize those problems, okay? That which are the top 3 problems, say, for example, okay, that we want to solve as a must thing, right? And then come towards the convergent approach wherein, you now define that out of X number of problems, right? These are the critical problems now we want to focus upon, right? Or as kind of a convergent approach. That's where we will focus now, okay? And come up with the right solution for that. Now, again, when you go to the solution, you again go with a divergent approach with respect to coming up with multiple solutions, right? Or what we call it as set-based solutions, okay, in SAFE, okay? Wherein what we do is we actually come up with multiple options that what could be different solutions that would be able to cater to this particular problem, okay? Those prioritized problems which we have come up with, right? And then choosing the best out of it, okay? Again, convergent approach, okay? to deliver the best solution out of it, right? So this is what the kind of a divergent and convergent approach which is being followed, right? When we actually work on those design thinking aspects. And then, as Satish said, right, all those tools like personas, empathy maps, and other things will come into picture while actually coming up with those divergent and convergent approaches which we discussed. Yes, Satish. Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
But as a
So,
Scrum Master, should we be aware of it, or these personas will be taken care at the product management level, or
it is taken care by the product management. It is taken care, should be taken care by the product management. So our role as a Scrum Master should be like, yes, if in case we have the persona defined or personas defined based upon the solution, this is what we need to start focusing on. Does the release train backlog relate to carries needs? In our case, Kranti is a persona, right? Do we refer to carry during the team planning or the sprint planning? Have we considered carry's solution context? So that is the reason we as a Scrum Master, or we as an Agile coach, we as a RT, or we as a team member, whatever the role we are playing, we should be aware of who is our target customer. When you say carry the consumer or Kranti the consumer, we are not targeting one single individual. That is a fictional character which we define. Right? So we need to make sure like the persona is capturing at least 50 to 60% of the target customers' challenges or the problem statements. That is what we define as a persona. So now, as a Scrum Master or as a coach or as an RTE, we need to remind the product owners, hey, we are going to the sprint planning. How are our user stories defined? Is our user stories defined in a generic statement, or is our user stories referring to our persona, the carry, the consumer, or Kranti, the consumer, whoever the target persona which we as an organization or which we as a release train is focusing upon? That is what our role as a Scrum Master need to remind or to bring not just to the team also. Okay, how are we planning to implement? Like one small statement, like I am not home on some weekends. This is what the statement, problem statement is as per carry. What does it mean? When we are building an app, yes, go ahead.
Satish, I have a small question, because there are some people, like for example, I read Safe Agilist, right? So where will I fit into this program? I mean, what is the role of me getting the persona? Because that's mostly into in between, right? Safe Agilist, neither a Scrum Master nor a something else. So can you focus on that also, like?
Safe Agilist, there is no role as such defined in the Safe framework, unfortunately. Right?
Okay.
So that is a course or there is a certification. The name of the course is Leading Safe. What does it mean?
Leading Safe, yeah.
Whoever is leading the Safe implementation, it could be a product manager, it could be a business stakeholder, it could be an RT, it could be a Agile manager, or it could be anyone whoever is leading that Safe or implementation, either at team level or release train or at the organization level. They are indirectly playing the role of that, leading the Safe implementation.
Yeah, it is basically designed for the executives or leaders, right? Who is going to lead and implement this implementation. So it could be any role, right? Like product manager, or it could be, system architect. Yeah, it could be a release train engineer also, right?
Okay,
so
okay.
It could, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if I understood correctly, from personas, maybe the PO will write the user stories, or that could be his inputs for developing.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of feature. Personas, kind of features.
Not the feature as such. That is a high-level requirement, sort of, right? Because this is the input for the entire QBank app or QBank solution. There is not one single requirement as such. From taking this as a base, we will start defining the requirements. Once we go to that requirements section, we will get some more clarity on it.
Thanks, Satish. Well said.
Sure. Yeah. Shilpi, you have a question?
Yeah, so I just wanted to understand, like, if there are multiple problem statements and by the client, and all of them are high priority, then how do we prioritize? Are there any techniques we can suggest to client to take that one up first and second?
Yes, yes. So that is where the prioritization comes into context. We will touch base on that in a while.
Okay, thanks, Satish.
Sure. Okay. So yes. So let's. This is what Amrish was mentioning, empathy map, and another beneficial thing is the user journey map, customer journey map. So this is again connecting back to Badania's statement of value stream mapping. Okay? So how do we define the value stream? Understand the customer journey map. Or when I say customer journey map, when the customer start using our solution till the time the customer moves out of our solution or the product, whatever it is, define it, define the steps as a first step, then start defining what is it we as a bank are offering already or planning to offer, and what is the opportunities we have. This is another way. Once we start defining it, the customer journey map, that can help us understand the gaps or bring up new functionalities or new scope of function implementation into the context.
But before that, what is value stream, Satish?
Yes, values. What is a stream? The flow from one end to the other end. We are talking it as a value stream. The flow of value from one end to the other end. Right? So here they have defined a value stream for what do you say? The banking loan, like the home loan. Decide to buy a home, learn about the mortgage, calculate the budget, property search, compare mortgage, apply for the loan, assessment, sign the contract and deal, and move, complete the loan and celebrate. So these are the different steps a customer who is planning to take a loan from a bank has to go through. Right? So that is what we define as a steps. Okay, what happens at step 1? What happens at step 2? What happens at step 3? What at step 4? What at step 5? What is the last step? So that is the flow of value which we define as a stream, and the flow of value from the starting of the journey of the customer till the end. So some cases, like if we take Amazon as a shopping cart, for example, our journey might be maybe 10-15 minutes. Like, I mean, just for example, right? So we will locate our item which you want to place an order, then add it to the cart, do the payment, get the order delivered. That's it. But here the example they have given is like the home loan, as we all know, it might be for 15 to 20 years. So the product which we are talking or which you're thinking or which you're about to launch should be, we should think from the even the last step of customer, how or what the customer could feel when they are closing the loan from us, not just when we are launching the new home loan as a solution. Does it answer your question, Venkatesh?
Yes. See, this value stream, I understand it's a flow with the step-by-step flow.
Yes,
but what
yes.
is value stream is a little confusing.
That's what. The flow of value from one end to the other end.
What value? Is it dollar value or is it what value?
Yeah, so can I?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Venkatesh, see, what actually value stream is, there is something which is, getting triggered, okay, from the customer side, right? Here in this loan management system example, customer wants to seek a loan, right? That's where the value will start flowing, okay? Customer needs some solution, right? Customer needs some loan from you. So customer will initiate that, okay? That's where the trigger point of a value stream will happen, and that's where the value will start flowing, okay? Then all those steps like define and other things which Satish just now showed, right? He will first approach to the loan management system or the mortgage people, right? to understand whether he's eligible for the loan, the eligibility criteria, and all those things will be identified and all those. So it's a trigger point from where the value stream starts. What is the trigger point here? The customer needing a loan and he's placing a request, to get a loan. That is a trigger point for a value stream. And then once it is triggered, all those steps will happen, right? I mean, his eligibility will be defined, his eligibility will be evaluated, how much loan can be granted based on his incomes and other things will be determined. Then actual, loan management system, actual loan will be dispersed and all other things, right? So all those steps will be nothing but those flow of value, which Satish was just now showing there, right? It is triggering. So value stream is something which is triggered at a request by the customer, and it is realized when the dollar value is earned. Okay. For example, when the loan is disbursed to the customer, then the customer pays out the loan and completes the loan by giving, by paying the interest along with the principal amount. That's where the actual value is earned by the firm over here, right? That's where the value stream will end. Okay, so it is getting triggered from where the request is raised, and it is the value flow is complete when we actually get a dollar value back.
And value might not be just in the dollar or anything as such, Venkatesh.
Yes.
So, like as Sai was mentioning, right? Doing this session is a value stream. Like we as a facilitator, we want to make sure like all the concepts related to the PI planning is discussed and covered. And you as a participant, you want to get more knowledge or understanding of what happens in the PI planning and how you can get benefit out of this discussion. There is a value. It's not in the monetary purpose or the revenue or the dollar or anything as such. Sometimes it could be even a customer satisfaction or solving one of the existing challenge of a customer. It could be anything when you say value.
Yeah.
Right?
Fantastic.
And
thanks.
Yeah, and this is one of the customer journey map which I try to define for one of the training institute who is planning to launch their Scrum Master job guarantee program. Like, what is it? The customer, here the customer is a student looking for a Scrum Master job opportunity. What's it? Decide and then learn, then practice, prepare, attend interviews, getting a job and complete. That is what the value of, there is what the flow of the steps which we define, and we started defining it. It is not the final version because they don't want me to publish it. I kept only the draft version with me, right? So this is what the value from there, from that perspective, right?
On the lighter note, so everything end up with the dollar value as Adam said. So
yes, it might not be associated with the dollar value any point of time, right? See, because here, if you take this course, this persona, once the customer do the payment, they might be doing the payment here itself, right? They are not doing the payment after completion or after getting a job. They might be doing the payment at the step 1 or 2 itself, but still the journey continues. The association continues, and that is what the end-to-end flow is coming into context. So that's what, whenever I have a conversation with any of the coaches or trainers, they say that I'm planning to launch this job guarantee program or mock interview sessions. I will say, what is your value stream or what is the end goal or end target you want to achieve? Just to facilitate that mock interview session or giving the question answers, or what is it? Then they will start getting a clarity around it. Right? We are good?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a small question. This
yes,
if you can go back to the design thinking module, because I have some question on that.
Yes, design thinking.
So this design thinking should be inculcated to the product owner and product management team, right? That's what you are trying to say, I think.
Not just them. Anyone who has the role at the release train level, that includes the business owners, that includes the architect, that includes the RTE as well. So everyone.
So who is
Everyone
going
should
to
be.
teach them? Who is going to teach them this design thinking? Because
That is where the SPCs, that is where the RTs come into context.
So they'll teach everybody, product manager, they'll treat the system
It's
architect.
not just teaching, it is to facilitate that conversation.
Workshops, huh? Design thinking.
Workshop. Yeah, exactly. Design thinking workshop, value stream defining workshops, all this, that is what the role of a SPC from the implementation perspective.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See, as such, Ashwin, teaching is not required for them because they are subject matter experts, right? Product owners or business owners or product management team, they would be the subject matter expert. But what they need to realize or understand is how this flow should happen, right? How the design thinking should be done, how the customer persona should be mapped, and try to understand all those things. So that kind of a coaching can be provided by the SPCs or the release train engineers, along with the facilitation.
Yes, and as you can see, I'm using all the Excels. It need not be any tools. We can use the tools like Miro, Mural, or any Confluence or any tools. Just for ease of discussion, I'm using all Excel documents so that it will be easy. And all the documents which I showed till now is prepared. We prepared it on our own. It is no copyrighted information from Scale Ledger or any organizations. Okay.
Because I think they use mostly Miro or Mural, I think, for this.
So we can use any of it. We can use any. See, that's what
journey maps. They have to be very attractive.
Exactly. My point is first statement of Agile Manifesto: individuals and interactions over process and tools. We can use any number of tools or whatever the tool we want, but the focus is bring everyone together, make them understand what they should focus on, and let them interact to get that outcome of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And another reason why I'm simplifying it using Excel, half the times the product folks, they will say, hey, I'm not well versed with Miro, I'm not well versed with Mural or even Jira. Sometimes they will say, hey, why are you complicating it? Instead, I'll say, okay, let's create an Excel. I will upload it into SharePoint or Google Drive, whatever the common for. Let's use it, or a simple Confluence page. That's it. We don't want to complicate it by using the tools or anything as such. Good? Are you good till now? The customer centricity, design thinking, the lean UX. Yes, empathy mapping helps understanding the problem. Customer journey mapping helps understanding the solution. Yes.
Lean
and
UX,
bringing
I'm
up
not clear,
the gaps between the
Satish.
solutions.
Lean UX, I'm not clear.
Lean UX, user experience. Right. So now that we got to know what solution we want to define.
No, user experience, I understood. What is lean? Those things are.
Yes, I'm coming there. So the user experience, we want to what is the user experience, how the look and feel, how the application should behave, the performance and everything. We will start defining it. Then within that, again, we are bringing in that lean fact. What is it? Lean? Just in time design. We might not want to sit and design the entire QBank as an application, but first step is to identify what is our first version we want to launch, what is the MVP, or what are the terminology we want to use. So whether it is a beta version or MVP or the first launch, whatever we want to define the terminology, identify the scope, prioritize it, and then define the user experience for that part. Then what's the next version? Then continue maintaining that the frameworks, the standards or the guidelines or anything by taking the previous user experience as a baseline and improvise it as required. Lean is simplify it and keep it simple. Make sure whatever is relevant, focus only on that. That is what the lean UX is.
Lean is simplified or just in time, which is right?
Simplified. Focus, eliminate waste. That is what simple, in a simple language, lean is about. Eliminate waste by not working on everything right now. We don't know how the customers will respond once we launch the product. So why you want to define the user experience for everything altogether. Identify what is in the scope for the first release, define only for that. So we are indirectly eliminating spending our time and effort in defining the entire architecture or entire user experience.
Yeah.
Yes, as we said, just in time is correct, right? Just in time or for
obviously
for that release.
Either ways.
That is where we define MVPs, right? I mean, this is a minimum viable product that we want, right? Because what happens is many a times we, we are tempted to do the gold plating, right? Thinking that customer would like this also, customer would like the other things also.
Delighting the customers.
In delighting the customer, over delighting the customers, rather, I would say. Okay. And, and then that is something which you do not ratify also, right? I mean, you think that it's your perception that, yeah, customer would like this, let's add this also, let's add the other things also. So we do a kind of a lot of gold plating, right? While we actually deliver the solution. So this lean approach is talking about eliminating all that waste, eliminate that gold plating, eliminate everything. Just, focus on what customer needs, right? And deliver it in multiple, iterations or multiple versions or MVPs, right? This is what the lean approach is.
Okay. So now, coming back to that, now that we define the product roadmap using the personas and everything, we defined the modules or the value stream, whatever the terminology we call, and a quick description of it. Now, we as a product managers, we want to have a quarterly release. So that is where, let's assume I'm the product manager, Anand is the RT or the SPC or the facilitator. Anand will be constantly reminding me, Satish, you are focusing more, or you are doing the gold plating. This is what should be your focus. Anand is not the subject matter expert. As a product manager, I'm the subject matter expert, but still, Anand will be reminding me how. For example, like, adding the phone number, updating the phone number for the profile management. We could have even mentioned the email address, but we haven't. Why? Let me go back to the personas. Here, one of the statement the Kranti, the consumer, mentioned is would like to pay without adding the number as a contact. Text is a preferred mode of communication, as I might not be checking my emails regularly due to my busy work schedule. Before the conversation started, some of you mentioned TopMate help because we got the reminder or the link on the WhatsApp rather than checking the email. Yes. So if that is our customer's context, we will focus or we will prioritize on the text or WhatsApp, whatever is the more easy method of communication to the customers. So by taking that as a base, we have defined that adding a phone number, updating phone number for profile management, recharge mobile, recharge postpaid for the additional services, right? And log in with mobile OTP. Everywhere we are indirectly referring back to the persona, right? We got it?
Yeah.
We could have done everything, but instead we are focusing on, okay, yes. And that is not just for one team or one module, that is spread across all the modules, like mobile authentication. Why mobile? Because that is what our customer is expecting, or that is what the customer is looking for. Why log in with mobile OTP? Why not email OTP? Why adding a phone number and updating phone number? Why recharge mobile or recharge post? Everything is, the solution is all focused on the customer journey map or the persona, which we did the research analysis and which we had defined as a baseline for our product or a solution. Right? We are good?
Yeah, fantastic.
That is where the role of RTE or the Scrum Master or the SPC, whoever is facilitating, they need to remind, why are we doing this facial ID? Yes. what if like we want to do the facial ID recognition as a for logging in the first release? First, are we even have that technology? Do you have even that budget? We are a startup. Do you have enough budget? Do you have enough technical skills? Do you have enough knowledge to implement even that? Or how about the thumbprint? Right? So that is where we will see that how we can minimize, at the same time how we can deliver value across the modules. That is where the minimum viable product, the MVP, if you expand MVP, minimum viable product, that is what even the design thinking is talking about. Going back to the framework for a moment. Viable is the way we build the and offer the solution creating more value than cost. For example, for a for-profit enterprise, are we profitable by releasing this version or product to the market? That is what the viability factor.
Venkat, one question I have. Sorry for interruption.
Sure.
Yeah. So, could you please go back for a previous slide?
Yes.
So does that mean RT or SPC must have a complete understanding of a requirement? Then only they'll come up with, suggestion. This is required or this is not required.
Might not be. By having that knowledge definitely helps. But even if not, see, I worked as a RT or I worked as an SPC for many, clients, just for helping them with the PI planning. My previous engagement, the clients used to come and ask, hey, can you help us facilitate the first PI planning? I work with the telecom, insurance, or different clients where I don't even know the domain. I don't even know their product. I was there just for the PI planning day 1 and day 2. That's it. But still, I just remind them, hey, are we making sure like we are focusing on the correct product roadmap? That one single statement, that's it. Or what is that problem statement we are trying to solve by delivering this or by bringing this scope as a priority for this current PI? That's it. I don't even know who is their personas or what is the target customers, why, on what basis they have defined these features as a priority. I might not be even having an idea. If I'm working full time, I might be. But if I'm there just for that day 1 and day 2 of PI planning, I don't know anything. I might not even have the background work, what they did, whether they did or not. Right? The moment I go there for day 1 of PI planning, I will start coordinating with the RTE and I will say, okay, where do you need my support? What is it? What's the groundwork is already done? How we want to go ahead? And does it answer your question, Pranay?
Yeah, thank you.
But if in case we are working full time as an RTE for that release train, having that knowledge definitely helps. Right? We can. Yes, Venkatesh.
Yeah, this second row, homepage, request, inquiry, new user, these are all the flow. So that means this is the values, we can say the stream, is it the stream?
Exactly. I mean, these are the different steps, what happens from the time the customer launch our app or our web page till the time they complete the flow. So there is what the value
are they linear?
Are
they linear or are they independent?
It can be independent, but they will have the dependencies. See, for example, I want to do a payment. Can I directly jump into and do the payment? No. First, I need to launch the homepage. I need to have a login. Then I can do the payment.
Okay. But these are not linear steps. They can be independent.
Might not be. But all this should go together. Right? Okay. See, we can't say that PI1, we will complete entire login module. PI2, we will complete entire account management. PI3, profile management. PA4, payment transaction. No, it won't help. What's the value we are delivering, or what's the benefit we are delivering to the customer by doing that way?
Yeah, MVP
or the valuable software. It's not just the working software. If we complete the entire login in the PI1, it is a working software, but is it a valuable software? No. When we can deliver a valuable software, when everything, whatever is planned for that scope of a release or a quarter or the PI, what are the timelines we are taking, go hand in hand, within which now we need to start identifying the dependencies. That is where PI planning helps the entire release train or the entire set of teams.
Thanks, Satish.
Are we good till now, the flow?
Yes, but again, the quarter thing is issue problem is normally what is the suggested one? Is it 4 iteration plus 1 PI IP iteration or 5 plus 1, 4 plus 1?
We'll come there. We'll come there.
Okay, right.
Satish, I have one clarification.
Yes, Gokul.
Yeah, you're saying, right, on that personal thing, like as a Scrum Master or RT, we just check with our product owner on this thing. So we can, on this flow, whether that, the team backlog or the backlog that we are fitting it. So just based on the knowledge or how they're tracking it, we can just validate it, right? Or how is it, what is the best way we can do?
Yes. I'm trying to bring an example of the user story. Okay.
Sure.
Looks like it is not here. But see, the user story as the vehicle owner, right? I want the vehicle to determine the speed limit and set the speed so that the traffic laws are obeyed during the delivery. So earlier they have an example, looks like it is changed recently. But yes, now here, instead of as a vehicle owner, let's suppose you have two different types of vehicle owners. We all know one is a personal vehicle owner, second one is a cab drivers. So as Anand, as a personal vehicle owner, he will focus on making use of his vehicle in one way. As Satish, as a cab driver, he might be using the vehicle in another way. Right? So the personal owner want to make sure he get the more mileage, whereas the cab driver, his focus is to get more rides or more money, more income generated. So they are not focused on the mileage, because how quick they can complete the trip, they can get more number of trips and more number of payment. Right? So that is where understanding that persona and bringing that into the context helps. Now, if there is a context like here in our case, going back to it, we define Kranti as a consumer for one, one of the persona. The same way we can have another persona as well. Like what if he's a business? Here the Kranti is a personal individual, but our vision is to do business to business as well. So now SS Agile Gurus as a business owner, how they want to deal, it might be entirely different expectations. Right? Does it answer your question, Gokul?
Yes, fair enough. Yeah.
So here the vehicle owner is persona, right?
Yes. Within vehicle owner, we can bring in the persona. Like let me go back to here. Like Janardhan, I will say like a small business owner. Right? So now we will say that, hey, what we are targeting? Are you targeting a consumer expectation, or are you targeting a business owner from the scope or from the user story, from the feature perspective? Whom are we addressing? Whom are we targeting to release or deliver a benefit out of this implementation? And we can define separate stories for the separate personas also.
Got it, Satish. Yeah. By looking at the stories itself, we can just, Exactly.
So that is where our role of Scrum Master as a Scrum Master comes. Hey, if we have the personas defined already from the safe implementation perspective, my recommendation is bring in that persona into the user story. Why or how? It will help the product owner to make sure the scope is clear or defined, and it will help the team members also who is working on the implementation. Oh, okay, yes. This is referring to the consumer. This is referring to the business owner. Okay, so let's focus on that. What the use cases or the acceptance criteria that bringing the persona into the context that helps the team members to understand more in detail and from the implementation perspective as well.
Okay, so then which is the actual correct persona? Is it a vehicle owner? Is a generic thing, or we can say
vehicle owner is generic thing. Now we can bring in the persona name as Kranti, as Janardhan. So that way it will give more clarity to the team members and
okay,
the product
Kranti
owners.
is a personal user and
Yes.
Janardhan is a commercial user. Vehicle owner.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is a small question. If you go back to the page on Scaled Agile, the previous page, see, you are saying user stories. They'll definitely have a story point. Will enabler stories also have story points, or what is the case of that?
That is, we will discuss when you go to that point,
Yeah,
Ashwin. We are already a little bit slow. We are yet to start the PA planning concepts. We'll come there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, sure. Okay, yes, are we good?
Yes.
So we spent almost 1 hour of time to get started with the PI planning. More or less a similar thing happens at the organization level as well. So the preparation for PI planning, the first step is defining the feature where these are the roles, the product. Is it clear or shall I increase the font?
It's clear, Satish, very much clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
clear.
Yeah. The product management, product owners, business owners, system architect might be involved in that, and it could be once a month. Again, based upon how much scope they are defining or how frequent they want to touch base. Then the next step is the feature prioritization. That is where again the same individuals will come, and this either can go together or might happen separate. It is based upon the organization context and the release train context as well. Some of the release trains where I work, they used to say that, hey, maybe 2 hours session, first 1 hour, let's define the features. Then the second hour, let's prioritize the features whichever we define. Some case they will say, okay, this month, let's focus on defining the features. The next month, we will start doing the prioritization. It is up to the organization context. There is no specific timelines or guidelines either defined by Scale Agile or anyone as such. We need to make sure that steps as part of the preparation is done.
That is, this is part of pre-PI planning, right?
Pre-PI planning, preparation for PI planning. And how it is coming up, we already know the backlog, or we already know the product roadmap and everything. We already know what is planning for the version 1, version 2, version 3 sort of it. So that is where these steps will start coming.
So that means before the day 1 and day 2, they will have a cadence or they will have a meeting
exactly
to discuss on it. So what is the
yes.
duration of this meeting, pre-planning?
Depends. Some of my release times, we used to have 2 hours once a month. Some we used to have alternate weeks. So on the context of the release time, it will differ. Generally, what I can recommend is maybe once a month. The first feature definition, then prioritize it. Then maybe the third month, if in case we are talking about a quarter, like first month, let's do feature definition. Again, second month, again, initially do the feature definition, then continued with the feature prioritization. Then during the third month, anyway, as we are getting ready for the PI planning, start sharing the prioritized features with the release train, with the teams. And that is where the Scrum Master, that is where the product owners of the teams will start coming in context. This might happen 1 to 2 sprints before the PI planning.
Is it during previous IP thing or before?
Yes, even before IP sprint, sometimes
even before IP,
it might be shared. It might be shared, but the in detail discussion will happen during the IP sprint.
And the product management, business owners, system architects, these people who are at the art level, right? They continuously work on these feature definitions and feature refinement, okay, as a part of a readiness for our next PI, right? That is where as Satish mentioned, right, the first 2 months, okay, are spent, okay, for feature definition and feature readiness refinement, okay, just in order to be prepared for the next PI, right? So while they refine the existing features or come up with the new features, all that will be covered in that feature definition part. And then they will prioritize and reprioritize all the features and get all these things ready so that in the third month, okay, the individual team, the prioritized features can be shared with the individual teams, okay, so that they can start looking at it as a part of a preparation. And if they have any concerns, any questions, those also could be resolved during that.
So that means that during the current quarter, that is 2 sprints before the PA planning, the PA planning is for the next quarter. So that means that the second month, this could happen, right?
Yes. So I'm about to say the same point. So the way how, while we are working on current sprint, we will start preparing for the next sprint backlog.
Yes.
Same case, same logic works here as well.
Okay, fantastic.
While we are working on current PI, we need to make sure we are getting prepared for the next PI.
PI.
As per the Scale Agile framework, the IP sprint, it is mentioned as preparation for PI planning during the IP sprint, but that alone might not help, because at that week of that IP sprint or the 2 weeks of the IP sprint, the architects and the business owners might be totally occupied. In our case, we have 10 release trains. The same architects, same business owners cater for all the release trains. Every release train might be literally struggling or fighting that, hey, Satish, come and talk to us, come and talk to us, come and talk to us. So that 2-week window of IP sprint might not be sufficient to get everything done. There is a reason we typically, as a best practice, we will start working on it even from, let's suppose we are completing our PI planning of the current quarter in July. Immediately within the August, we will start planning for the next PI. And that is what the role of RTE comes into context, to facilitate these for the next PI planning.
Great.
We are good?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all it starts with this feature definition and prioritization for the upcoming or the next PI, right? That's where it starts with, right? And then, towards the end of the quarter or towards the last month, even more wider teams at a team level, the involvement starts basically.
But why it is not mentioned as a design thinking and personas is a part of the feature definition, right? So that is going to be the input.
Might not be, might not. It is an input. It is an input, but it is done. Like, what is that? I mean, my point is like we defined as 3 steps as part of the pre-PI planning. See, the design thinking and personas, what happens is we might be defining once for the entire product. And
okay,
the refinement might not happen as frequent. But whereas these will be continuous ongoing activities for every PI. Right?
Okay. The personas are at the crux
personas are at the solution level,
level.
Once we define it, it might not change.
Maybe at the
or
apex
refine.
level. The personas are at the apex level.
Yes, might not be so much frequently changed.
Yes.
Yeah, it may change, but not so frequently.
Not so frequently.
Yeah, based on the market requirement, it may change.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, if the market trends change tomorrow, if the demand changes, you may need to revisit those personas. You may need to revisit.
Then
those,
everything from the scratch.
Yeah.
No, got it. I just want to know where it is fixed or where it is placed. Thanks, Satish.
Yes, sure.
For this, we need to have the product roadmap in hand for the pre-planning.
Yes.
Yeah.
The product roadmap is the input or a guidance by taking which the feature definition, everything will start. There is a reason the product managers play the key role here.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. And yes.
And
Satish,
as you can see, we have time, just mention the difference between PO and PMs also. So what is the difference? Are they same or is the role is different? Whenever you find time.
Sure. I can clarify now. The product management focus is more on the end user perspective, whereas the product owner's focus is more on the teams from the implementation perspective. Some of my implementations,
management and the business analysts are the same.
I will come there. product management might be a set of folks or maybe an individual at the solution level. Whereas product owners might be for a 12-member, for 12 teams, 12 Scrum teams, release time, we might have maybe 4 to 5 or maybe 6 product owners. So product manager is at the solution level, the bigger level. Then comes the product owners at the team level. So product owners and business analysts might be like equivalent or relevant at the team level. Does it answer your question, Venkatesh?
Then who is business owner?
Business owner is entirely different. Let me go back. Business owner, let's suppose ICICI Bank, for example. ICICI Bank reached out to us saying that, can you help us with this implementation? The one who is driving that initiative, either from the organization perspective or from the client perspective, they are the business owner. Right? Okay. So the business owner is different. Business owner, business analyst is entirely different.
Okay. So business owner mostly will be the CEO or kind of thing who wants to...
CEO or maybe the, let's suppose now the ICICI Bank reached out to us as a Agile Guru saying, hey, can you help us with this QBank implementation? Then whoever is representing the ICICI Bank, they will be the business owner because they are the one who will be defining us the context, what the solution should look like, what's the product, what's the target, what is their target customers. Now we are not developing for our internal usage. We are developing for someone else, like a service company. So then we need to, the customer centricity design thinking is from the ICICI Bank customers perspective, not our customers.
Exactly. Okay.
Right? So that's what happens many of the case. Like being working in the Indian market, we might be working for US Bank or Singapore Bank or maybe Australia Bank. So the product managers, the business owners might be located at that location who might be actually interacting with the end users. How do we know what's the context of that Singapore banking customers sitting in India? We don't know. There is where having these personas or the customer journey maps or having this context helps us as a team member. Let's suppose we are all sitting in India. We will get to know, oh, okay, this is what the Singapore customers might be using, or this is what the Singapore customers might be expecting. Correct?
Okay.
Right?
So they are non-technical people. That's what I would like to understand.
Might be. We don't know. We don't know. We can't say that.
Okay.
So
yeah, but mostly they are at the business level. Okay, they understand that what exactly their end user, they define what the end user actually needs. Okay, right? So you know, and just to add to what Satish mentioned, right? The product managers are more outward focused here. Okay, wherein they liaise with the business owners, they liaise with the end users and try to understand their pain points, their area, their requirements, and their understanding. They come up with, they do the market research, they do the persona and all other things. So they are more outward focused product managers or product management team, whereas product owners are at the individual team level and they are inward focused towards their team. Once the product manager gives the set of prioritized features to be implemented by the teams, then the focus is with the product owners, the more inward focus with the team about how to deliver that particular feature or that particular story. So they are more inward focused product owners.
Fantastic.
Yeah. You have a question?
Yeah. So as you just mentioned this IP sprint, I just want to understand what is IP sprint and when it is happening and what is the outcome which expected. Like,
Sure.
is it before PI? Yeah.
We will come there once we start the PI planning
Okay.
discussion. Sure. We will discuss. And Shilpi, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand. So business owners are also funding the project, like costs.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So they might be technical, like Steve Jobs, for example. He's a business owner for that Apple iPhone. So they might be technical also. right? Or Elon Musk, if we take Tesla as an example, right? So they know in and out of their product, right? So they are the business owners. They are the one who is driving or who is leading, guiding, or setting the context of what should be done and why we are doing it. That is what the business owner's context is. And if it is a product company, they might be within the organization, but if it is a service company, the business owner might be coming from the external client side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understood the business owner and product management team because they set up the personas, they speak out to the external people and all. Then where is this BA comes into picture? Which team?
BA comes at the team level. See, business analyst ideally is not a
Not
defined
a role,
role,
actually. Yeah.
either
It's
in the
not a role.
Scrum Guide as well. Forget
Yeah.
about safe, not even in the Scrum Guide. But where the business analyst is coming into context is like, what if your product owner is at the client location? So then that is where the business as a role is defined, where business analyst might be sitting together with the team and talking closely with the product owner and defining the user stories and clarifying the questions and doing the UAT and all those things might be taken care by the business analyst.
In many other organizations, business analyst acts as a proxy to the product owner.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, completely agree on it.
Correct.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a proxy PO.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
proxy PO.
It's a proxy to the product owner. Yes.
Then how companies are affording two billable roles, one PO, and they're paying for that, and that's why.
PO will be from client. PO is from the client.
Yeah.
But here I'm
And
seeing this product management team and PO, right? Then
product management might be when we go to that details, right? You might get some more clarity.
okay,
The product
sorry, I'm
manager,
confusing others as well.
No,
Sorry.
Sure. Product management might be one or two individuals for the entire solution. We haven't came to the stage where how many release trains are there or how many teams are there.
Okay.
We are still discussing at the solution and the value stream level. That's it, right? Once we start identifying, of course, we won't go in detail today, but once we start identifying it, that's when we will see maybe the one product manager for the entire, maybe 3-4 release trains. We don't know.
Okay.
Just a quick thing, just to answer to Venkatesh, that's the same question you are asking is how organizations also are now thinking. Why should I have a separate product owner, a business analyst? So let us make the BA do the PO job. So that is how the fine lines are diminishing, So now people are told to do extra roles, which is why you don't have a specific. Previously, it was the same question used to come. I'm a business analyst. I used to write requirements, and the product owner used to write epics and accept the stories. Now, little bit those fine lines are diminishing, and even though the BA, as you can call, is more like a role. It's interchangeable, BA or a PO, but you will be more or less doing roadmaps and then doing in the context of Agile a little extra things than what traditional BA that you used to know.
So my piece of thought process is that BA has multiple we have multiple flavors to a BA role. He could be domain, right? He could be a SME, but that's also a business analyst. I mean, a PO doesn't have to know the domain at all. So that is where the BA can help him out to understand the business, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there are multiple flavors to a BA role as well.
Yeah,
Exactly.
PO is a representation of the client.
By the way, folks,
ultimately,
it's 7:31. Let's take a quick break and come back and continue the discussion. Okay.
How many minutes of break,
once you're back from the break, let's start discussing more on the PI planning.
PI planning perspective.
How many minutes of break, Satish?
So what
You tell me. How much time?
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't need a break, but still 5 minutes. Okay. Let's be back by 5 minutes. Let me pause the recording. Okay.
Taking the break, Satish?
Yes, sorry.
No, I was saying you're not taking the break. So
yes. I'm done. Okay. Now that we have done discussion, is the recording started? Okay. Okay, so now that we are done with the discussion, we are not going to do the WCF or the prioritization because that itself will take 1.5 hour minimum the moment we start discussing. So we are not discussing it today, but let's understand that the moment the backlog is defined, the features are defined, the prioritization also happens before coming into the PI planning as a context. So that is where, if I go back to this Excel, before sharing the prioritized features to the teams, that is where the prioritization happens. And these folks get involved in that prioritization event as well. So as a Scrum Master, we might not even know when the feature is defined, how it is
That
defined,
is,
and when
Excel
it
is
is.
not visible.
Oh, is it? I'm sharing the whole screen. Now, is it?
Yes, now it is visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay. So before sharing the features, prioritized features to the teams, the product, these are the folks, the product management, product owners, business analyst, system architect, with the help of facilitated by a release train engineer or SPC or Agile coach, that's based on the context. They will go through this feature definition, feature prioritization. So that's where, as a Scrum Master, as a team, we might not even know when the feature is defined, when it is prioritized, or how it is prioritized, or why this feature is prioritized also, because we might not be even involved in that discussion, right? But that is fine. The moment we as a Scrum Master or we as a team got to know about the features, that's when we will start working on that. Right?
Satish, to be simply put, this is like a backlog refinement session.
Backlog refinement and prioritization. And this is where the team starts going through, yes, but with the focus of the prioritized features, not at the story level.
So it's a program backlog kind of, okay, or an art backlog now in SAFe 6, it is called as an art backlog. So it is at a program level, okay, and then or the feature level, you can say. And then when it
Feature
comes
level.
to team, when it comes to team, then it becomes a team backlog for a particular feature, which is then splitted into stories and other things.
Yes.
So what happens here? When will story split happens? I mean, during
yes,
backlog refinement, we will discuss about the features and prioritization and user story level discussion, DOR, DOD, everything will be there. But here, when
yes,
will happen?
Yeah, that is what I mentioned. Like teams will review the feature and the acceptance criteria, and teams will identify the dependencies or blockers or risks or challenges, and teams will create the spikes, POC, and they will even start creating the high level user stories to get started in the PI planning. I will add that teams split features into high level user stories before.
I'm just trying to understand when what happens.
Yes. So the first step is like the teams will get the feature, so they need to go through the feature and the acceptance criteria. And the main important aspect why it is shared before with the teams is like to identify the dependency or a blocker or a risk or challenge, so that it can get resolved to the possible extent, or it can get addressed, or it can get identified and communicated to that respective team or respective stakeholder, so that it can be handled in a proper way, either before the PI planning or during the PI execution step.
Sorry, Satish, I have a question here. May I?
Sure.
Yeah, can you scroll up? See here, when you say row number 13, sharing the priorities with the teams of art. So when there is a discussion between PO, SM and team individual level, right? So this looks like the PA planning itself. Then what will happen here?
No,
it's
So
not.
that's what
individual team
and
along
when
with
this
their
will
product owner
happen?
and scrum must 2 sprints before the PI planning.
Okay.
Or during the IP sprint. We'll discuss what is that IP sprint, how it works, but it could be 2 sprints before the PI planning.
Okay.
What happens at that step? Yes, these are the things happen. Teams will review the feature and the acceptance criteria. the main thing is like they identify the dependencies, blockers, challenges, and they can create a spike or a POC or an enabler, like what Ashwin's one of question, right? And the team might start working on that during the IP sprint if they can work on it. And the teams will split that feature into high-level user stories, and so that they can start working during the PI planning.
See, the
for the
main
planning purpose.
The main intention behind sharing this with team is, you know, a product management team or business owners. They may not know the team level challenges, right? Or the team level impediments or blockers, right? That is something the team themselves can identify. And that's the purpose of, you know, sharing this with team much before the PI planning, right? So that they can identify that, oh, okay, this is something the product management or the business owners have prioritized. But yes, we have a challenge here, right? We have a dependency with other team, right? So those kind of dependencies, challenges, blockers, okay, could be identified by the teams, okay, when this is shared with them. Okay,
That is
that's
well
the
before the PI.
that is well before the PI, because everything cannot be done during the PI planning, or everything cannot be done during that small IP iteration, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's the reason this is shared with them, so that any kind of a dependencies, blockers, you know, challenges, okay, could be determined, and you know, and some sort of actions at a high level can be thought about, okay, which then could be implemented, okay, during the PI planning and post PI planning during the PI execution. Okay.
Okay, I have two questions here. So, who facilitates this when it is sent to the team, and who decides these features go to the? See, there are seven art teams are there. So, which team gets what? Who decides, and who facilitates the team level?
Level, so it is the responsibility of Scrum Master.
Yeah.
Right? Scrum Master, product owner, and the team, they need to take care of it. Then, how we decide which feature will go to which team? Based upon the modules or based upon the flow of the value which we define, we might identify either the feature level teams or the component teams. Feature level teams is a bit tricky. The component teams, when I say component, homepage is a component, login is a component, profile management is a component, or module, to simplify. So then all the features related to that profile management will be handled by one profile management team. And all the features related to that login will be handled by that login management team.
So Venkatesh,
right? So,
in order to answer your question, you know, based on the team's skill levels and expertise, okay, they will decide that which feature will need to go to which team, right? So as Satish said, right, some team who might be working on the login module, some on the profile management module, right? For each of those modules, there could be certain, you know, prerequisites, certain skill sets that are required, right? So when the teams are actually formed, they would know, right, that which team is expert in what, or which teams should focus on which feature. Based on that, that kind of a distribution will happen.
Okay, as you said, they will distribute it. Who is the they?
They, in the sense, mainly, yeah, okay. So mainly, and Satish, if
because I just wanted to know the roles and response, because this come up as an interview question, so I stumbled upon that. So I just wanted to nothing more than that. Sorry, team.
Sure.
Very clear about roles R and R and
correct.
RC and other things.
See, so for all the features and the prioritized program backlog, okay, product management team are the content owners, okay. So they, along with maybe you know, the product owners at the team level, can decide which features can go to which team.
Okay.
Satish, you can pitch in.
Sure. So based upon the product roadmap, or based upon the modules, scope of modules, the product owner takes the decision. Right. So in this case, we have 11 modules. So typical recommendation is like, can we have each module handled by one team? Or do we need more teams for a module? Or can we have one team handle more modules? So that initial discussion will happen between the product owners accordingly, they will take a decision like how we need to form the teams. So that is what happens at the value stream and the identification level. So that's the reason we haven't gone in detail today, Venkatesh.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. But like, let's suppose, okay, the moment I scroll down, a lot of other details will come. But yes, see, 11 Scrum teams, for example. So 11 modules, I am assuming each Scrum team will handle one module. So then that is where we might have each Scrum Master handle 2 to 3 Scrum teams. Each product owner might be handled 2 to 3 Scrum teams. So which means for QBank, we might have 4 Scrum Masters, 4 product owners, and 1 product manager. Okay. I mean, just to simplify, there might be like one team handling more modules or one module handled by more teams. Even that, but the moment we start going into detailed value stream mapping or value stream identification, that granular level details will come. Okay. So there is where I mentioned it. The valid module might be handled by 2 teams. Valid team 1, valid team 2. It happened in one of our implementation for a banking client. The payment itself was split into 3 teams. The one payment module was handled by 3 teams because the payment within the bank, the international payments. So the different rules, different logics came into context. So the moment the payments came, the team was split into 2. I mean, the payments module was handled by 2 different teams. Payments for local banking, local banks, for example, India, and the international transfers or international payments. Right. So based upon the scope of the features or the product, that decision will be taken. Which team will handle which module or which feature should go to which team. Does it answer your question?
Yes, very much.
So in a nutshell, product owners can decide that and they can convey this to product managers, right? That this is how the split could be.
Okay, basically module is nothing but I mean, interchangeably we call it as component. Component is modules, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I prepared a small checklist for RT for the preparation for PI planning, and all the points which you discussed, features are defined, and what is the timeline to send a reminder if in case who is involved stakeholders, what is to be considered or included, or the prioritized features, availability of or involvement of system architect to make sure like whether they are available for the PI planning dates or not, follow-up discussions, dependencies, all these I just listed. I will share that Excel so you can go through that. Okay. Now let's come to the actual PI planning. We spent almost more than 1.5 hours. Let's start the actual discussion of the PI planning. Yes.
Before we move, so one question, I think it's related with the PI planning. So for all this activity, team member has to spend some effort, right? So how much effort in terms of a person making for these activities? Even these are not a PI week or PI planning week.
Yes. So that's
sorry,
where.
What was the question? It was not clear.
How much time the team has to spend for all these activities before the preparation of this PI planning? And is that correct, Pranay?
Yes.
Okay. So that is where the team was getting involved only at the step 3, and the team will go through these, right? These steps. So most probably these might be either happening in the IP sprint, innovation and planning sprint, which ideally the team will not or should not be planned or doing any planned deliverables. Otherwise, if it is 2 sprints before PI planning, the team should have a plan. Let's suppose now Monday and Tuesday we are doing a PI planning for the coming quarter. We need to make sure the last but one sprint, we need to have some bandwidth for getting these activities done. Right? So the way how we plan some time for that sprint backlog refinement, we need to plan some time for that, the PI planning readiness also.
Sorry, out of curiosity, Satish, just it's a deviated question, but if you could answer that. See, out of the 10 days of 2 sprints of IP, maybe 2 days we are consuming for PI planning, right? So what happens to the rest of 8 days? The organization, will they accommodate 8 days of salaries or 8 days of dollar value for nothing?
We'll come there. We'll
Yes,
come
yes.
there.
I mean, you can park the question. Just I am very curious.
Sure. It's not 2 days PI planning. Most of the teams now are doing 3 days PI planning. I mean, 3 half days or 4 half days based on the context. But from the SAFE perspective, they are still calling it as a 2 days PI planning from the course perspective. But if we go into the PI planning, there is a reference. Let me scroll down. Yes, distributed PI planning with SAFE. So let's quickly go through that. Where the distributed PI planning, what does that mean? Is like, what if your teams are in different time zones?
Exactly. Yes.
Right. This is one of the interview question where I'm a panelist, the candidate got, and the answer went into a different discussion altogether. Panelist asked the question, what is your PI planning? Simple answer is like 2 days. Okay. When is your PI planning starting and ending? Where are your teams or where are your stakeholders located? What time zones they are located? Okay. The business owner is located in US. The architect is located in US. Product manager is located in US. And the teams are in India. So does that mean your teams are spending their whole night attending PI planning? Right? That is where the Scale Agile, they themselves are recommending 3 half days, or even if you want, you can do 4 half days PI planning. Never go and answer in the interview that we are doing a 2 days PI planning.
Okay. If it's a distributed team across time zones, this is a good practice.
Obviously. Yes, Abhijit.
Yeah, Venkatesh, I'm little bit confused since we are starting PI planning now. As we were talking about, that one particular client, we took an example of banking, and you said that, you talked about wallet. Okay, so wallet was split into two. So we might have different modules. So does this PI planning happen for only one product, and then we have different agile teams, let's say 5 to 12? Or it could happen for multiple products. In the start you said, insurance cannot be combined with, let's say, F&B. Okay, something like that. So what happens? So for example, so I am working in a company wherein we have two different products. One is an HRMS and one is for lawyers. But both are based on, the tech stack is PHP. Okay. But both have different product owners, project managers, but the technology used is same. So what happens in this? Can we do PI planning in this case, wherein, let's say, when you say the first principle of Agile, okay, people and interaction over processes. Okay. So in that case, the other team might always get confused on, how to use this kind of technology or what to do in some cases. So this is where interaction would help a lot. Even though the products are different, one is HRMS and one is completely based on, some legal platform. So does this qualify for a, PI planning, or you need to have one product which is split into modules and then you do PI planning for that?
Yes. So the HRMS module will have their own PI planning and the other module will have their own PI planning.
Okay. So basically the HRMS will split into modules and those modules will have agile teams, let's say 8 to 10 members.
Yes.
Okay. And let's say second module will have another agile team.
Yes.
Something
so
like
the technology might be same. The same technology might be used in HRMS and the other module, but the team members are also same, right? So the team members who are working on HRMS will be focused only on delivering that HRMS product. The team members working on other module or other solution, there will be separate team, right? Not the same team will work for different products.
Same team cannot work for two different products. Yes. Yeah.
So that is where
the teams would be also different. The products would be also different, but the team is same. Let's say IT.
Still, see, that's where
Still
like
different. Yeah.
the Q bank, a Q pay, Q ride, Q zoom. Let's suppose now from one solution we expanded to multiple solutions. So the Q bank will have their own PI planning. Q pay will have their own PI planning. Q ride will have their own PI planning. Q zoom will have their own PI planning.
Okay.
The dates might be same. Dates might be same, but they might be having their own PI plans.
Okay, so even if it is the domain is the same, we cannot mix two different products because that may defeat the purpose of
Exactly.
What the output would be.
Exactly. Yes. So that's where the initial statement is like identify who can be best fit for your solution or for your value stream. Involve only them or invite only them. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you, Satish.
Abhijit, as you said, right, the teams, though the tech stack is same, right, the teams are different, right? It's not the same team. It's not the same team who is working on both the products, right? The teams also are different. So the planning also has to happen separately for that.
Okay, all right. Got it.
Okay.
Sometimes we have seen the same Scrum Master. So
might not be. Right. See, I was working for a banking client. Within the banking client, we have different solutions. Like consumer banking is one solution. The wealth management is one solution. Like small business is another solution. Whenever I'm working for consumer banking, either as a Scrum Master or as an RT, I'm involved in only that PI plannings. I don't have anything to do with the wealth management or investment banking or something else. Right. So that is where, if I have to go back to this, I was mentioning that for Q Bank, have 4 Scrum Masters for all the 11 modules. Same way, maybe 4 product owners for all the 11 modules. So that 4 Scrum Masters work together to help their 11 to 12 teams to get their dependencies, the planning, execution, everything done individually. So what if like we say that, hey, you as a Scrum Master, you need to work with 2 to 3 Scrum teams. First Scrum team from Q Bank, second Scrum team from Q Ride, third Scrum team from Q Zoom. That will entirely defeat the implementation. Right? So even mapping that, even if the Scrum Master or product owner is taking more than one team, limit that to that specific release train so that it will help that Scrum Master plus the teams also.
Yeah.
What if like the PI planning for all these 3 release trains are happening in parallel? Where will that Scrum Master can help? Right? He can't be there at the 3 different places, even if it is virtual. We need to become a Chitti robots and create replicas.
That is practically impossible.
Impossible, right? Yes. Okay. Yes. Let's come back to the PI planning. So that is where even in my Excel, I identified defined the time zones. One of the release line where I work, we have 5 time zones, not 1, not 2, 5 time zones, which means there is no possible way to get that PI planning done in 2 days, not even in 3 days. We used to split into 4 days, 4 half days. So that is the first step. Whenever you are getting any question in the interview, or not just the interview, right? The implementation, the actual implementation, first step as a RT or as a Scrum Master, identify where your stakeholders are located. Where are your dependent teams, or where is your architect, where is your business owner, where is your product manager or architects, the vendors or the third parties whom you need to work with, where are they located, what are the time zones. Then come up with the agenda and the timings for that 2 days or 3 days PI planning. That should be the first step, any point of time. Right? Then I listed on all the events, what should happen on day 1. Again, this day 1, just to clarify, this is from the safe recommended agenda perspective, but we need to tweak, we need to adjust. So let me quickly go through that. What is the agenda? The first, again, before going into it, let me clarify. The PI planning, the entire teams, the 5 to 12 Scrum teams, plus Scrum Masters, plus product owners, plus architect, plus business owners, plus SPCs or agile coaches. So whoever it is required, everyone should be involved in person. I mean,
Satish,
it
I have
might
a
be
question
online as
here.
well.
I have a question here. When you say business owners, we discuss about as a CEOs and all. Would they
Yes,
spend 2 days in this?
they should. They should.
Yeah, that's what.
That's where we'll discuss
Is it a must should or
we
that's what I wanted to know.
we will discuss. We will discuss what happens if they don't attend versus what happens if they attend.
Because in my
Okay.
team, even PO
See,
is not attending. So that's what I'm asking.
the business owner might not be CEO every time. Business owner is someone who is leading that initiative.
Yeah.
Right? Might not be the CEO of the organization every time. Okay. So the first step of that PI planning is the business context. So that is where it is facilitated by the business owners. Again, typically the Scale Agile or any trainer, they will mention the PI planning should be facilitated by RTE. No, it is facilitated by RTE, but each event within the 2 days or 3 days, that each section or subsection should be facilitated by that respective individual or that specific role.
I think RT is a master of ceremony kind of thing.
Exactly. We need to make sure everything is happening. And we need to make sure like the business owner is present, the product manager is present, the system architect is present, and all the teams are there and everything is happening. They are like an anchor for that event. They don't own anything, but they will make sure the facilitation or the entire event happens. And that is where the first step of the PI planning is the business owners will or should come and share these artifacts with the entire release train. The participants' whole release train. When I say the whole release train, that includes the 12 Scrum teams, all the team members, whatever the skill set, the locations, and everything, the product owners, Scrum Masters, architect, and any vendors or third party, everyone should be participating in that. And the artifacts which should be shared by the business owner is what is the business context? The first step is why are we doing this product? Or why are we developing the solution? And what is the vision? What is the roadmap? What is the strategy? Remember, that is what we started the discussion today. The QBank vision, the QBank strategy, QBank roadmap. That is what we started discussing. Right? And the budget allocations might not be every time discussed or shared, but sometimes they might be mentioning that as well. I will come to that point, why that budget allocations come into context.
But Satish, the roadmap is done by the product managers and architect, right?
No. By taking the business context, the product management will help define the roadmap.
Oh,
but
okay.
It will be context will be set by the business owner saying, hey, I want this to be done by now. I want this to be done by now. I want this to be done by now. Or they might even say that the customers are expecting this functionality. Customers are expecting this feature. Customers are expecting this implementation by now. There is what the roadmap. Not the feature roadmap. If I go back to this. Yes, we'll say, hey, in this quarter, this is what we have to implement. In this quarter, this is what we are targeting. Or
So
in this
this
quarter,
is given by the business owner, right?
Business owner. Should be. Okay.
Right.
Good till now?
Yes.
And the outcome or the artifact is like the entire release line should understand the current context of business. Why I'm telling current context? What if we are already implementing and we are in the PI6, for example? Then for the PI7, the business owner should say, hey, congratulations team, this is what we achieved till now. And this is how the customers' feedback is coming up. And this is what the response is looking like. And this is how our business had grown from the moment we start this till now. This is where we are right now. This is how our competitors are doing. And this is what our position, like maybe the top 3 right now. Now, with the current PI, we are targeting to reach top 2. And this is what we are trying to achieve. So that is how the business context will be set based upon the current scope. The 6 PIs are done. The 7th PI, I'm talking about it. Okay.
Then, what is the timeline for this events? Since there are 6 events and we're planning, like any specific window timeline for each?
Yes, the timeline is mentioned here. That's why I haven't mentioned explicitly. Maybe let me add that to the Excel before sharing it. So even if we go to the PI planning on the Scale Agile website, they have given the timelines. Maybe like 1 hour is what default they are mentioning. It might not be taking 1 hour. Right. See, the first PI, it might take 1 hour because they will be explaining everything in detail. But the 7th PI, now that we are in the 7th PI, we might not spend that 1 hour. Maybe we will wrap up in half an hour.
Yeah.
Or 45 minutes based upon it. But these are the ideal timelines. Like the business context is done by in 1 hour.
Okay.
Right. And then there is where they're saying business owner or executive describes the current state of business, share the vision and present a perspective of how effectively existing solutions address the current customer's needs. This is what they will be setting the context. Okay. By taking that as a base, then the ball will be passed on to the product management along with the product owners, where they will set the product vision or the context, sharing that, hey, now that thanks Anand for setting the context to the release train and where we are doing currently, what is our vision for the current PI. This is a list of features, prioritized features by taking the current vision and the scope or the organization context or the solution context. So that is where the product management along with the product owners, they will share, okay, now that we are done with this for the current 7th release or the 7th PI, these are the set of prioritized features. And this is what, and that is where they will even share which feature will be handled by which team. Because as we discussed, that team allocation or which team is handling which feature is already done. Exercise the activity. So it's not a news to the team, but it is information shared for the other teams. I am working for a payments team. So I will get to know who is working on the transfers module or who is working on the rewards module. Of course, by now in the 7th PI, I already might be aware, but just from the current set of features, we will get to know, okay, feature 10 will be handled by so-and-so team. Feature 15 will be handled by so-and-so team. So that team allocation also will be shared or will be passed on as a context as part of this product and solution vision. And the timings perspective, it could be 1.5 hours because we might be going through, we might be explaining about the acceptance criteria, what should be done of that feature and everything. So it might, the product vision and solution vision might take time. If in case, what if like I have a question, hey, I'm working on the domestic transfers. Is the international transfers, will it be handled by the team or my team? I may ask that question as a team member, or I might raise a dependency, or I might raise a question, or I might raise a doubt. Think, hey, how we are targeting to achieve that? Good.
But already, even before the start of the PI, as part of the preparation of PI, these details are shared by the PO.
Yes.
Already,
these
right?
details are shared. Yes. So what happens is like, again, going back, why these were shared before, rather than coming with a blank mind to the PI planning and then is, oh, okay, everything is a surprise, everything is in news. The team will come prepared, and between the preparation for the PI planning and now, the team also might get, okay, yes, we haven't discussed about it, or we haven't thought about this dependency, or we forgot to identify that dependency with the other stakeholder. Let's bring up that as a discussion. So we can still add any new information which we get or which we got to know as part of this PI planning as well.
Okay.
Okay. And now the teams directly heard from the business owner as well. Like, this is what we are targeting to achieve, or this is where we are currently. So now the team also, when I say the team, it could be any individual, right? So the team might raise a concern or question, something. Hey, there is no sync between the vision and the feature, or instead of these features, can we add this feature also along with it? So even the team can also bring some recommendations or some pointers at times. It happens. It happens. It's not like the priorities are defined, identified by the product owners or product manager, that is taken as a full and final. No, might not be.
Yeah.
Right? Good.
And that is where
Then
that
comes
last workshop on day one happens, right? When
yes,
all the teams' inputs are gathered, and then we'll talk about it anyway. But yeah, so as Satish rightly said, even teams also would have a say on what should happen and what should go, right?
that is why the teams are involved. It's not just
Yeah.
a one-way communication from business owners, product manager, or architect. The teams should take that step of asking clarification or getting their doubt addressed. That's the benefit of involving the team members as well into this PI planning as an event. Then comes the third agenda item. I split typically into two steps, like architecture vision and the development practices. Architecture vision will be typically led by the system architect, the entire architect at the release train or the solution level. They will say, hey, no, these are the set of features, but this is how the architecture looks like. These are the maybe the APIs we might be using, or these are the database tables. This is how the integration should happen. So that everything might be defined by the system architect. Or they might even say that, okay, now that we have the features, this is the architecture. You can go and implement the user stories.
So this will be a kind of technical session, right? For 1 hour.
Technical session, yes.
Yeah.
Technical session, then followed by the development practices. When you say the development practices, that will be led by the architect, the system team, the tools team, and the engineering managers or the development managers or the leads, what are the terminology we call. Right?
For
so,
example,
this is where we say that, okay, now that we are working on this, we are all the teams should focus on making use of this so and so version or so and so software. The whole, because we need to integrate our code base, right? We need to make sure like the team should make use of this software or this version or this implementation.
So any real-time example you can mention, like which tools name you should use?
Anything, right? So in one of our instance, what happened is like the team is using one version of Java, I mean JRE. There is an upgrade happen just before the PI. So there they mentioned like, hey, now that the new version of JRE came into context, all the teams or all the developers should upgrade their versions of their software to the JRE version 1.5.2. I'm just giving an example. So that there is no gap or there is no mismatch between the code when we integrate.
Even this includes Jira versions also, any latest versions?
Jira is common for every team, right? Yeah, that's where the details of tools I mentioned, but the version and the softwares from the development team's perspective, the implementation. All the teams should use this JRE tool, or all the teams should use this Splunk for your analysis part, something like that.
Exactly, so that there won't be any compatibility issues, okay, with the software which is developed, okay, so that everything is on sync. See, another example could be, they also might suggest some tool to be used for test automation. Okay, they might also suggest some tool which probably the company has in a system team has come up with or recommended, right? They might guide all the teams to use that particular tool, right? So all those things things will be revealed by the system team or the engineering managers or the development managers. Okay, so that all the teams are in sync and they use the same version. No one is out of context, basically. Okay, and that will not lead to any kind of a compatibility issues when we do the systems testing or the integration testing together.
Right.
That's the intention behind telling this. Yeah.
And this might be spent time, especially the first PI, but from the second PI onwards, we might not spend much details or much time.
Yeah,
We'll say, hey, this is the tool or this is a version. We will continue using it. That's it. Maybe one single statement will say, okay, let's continue using this version or this software until unless there is a migration or a new software or new version or new tool as such coming into context.
Right. As the teams mature with the PIs, right? These things will be already known to the teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is where this development practices time might be 5-10 minutes hardly. And we'll say, okay, yes, see, the teams are already using Jira. You don't say that, hey, you have to use Jira, you need to create the sprint in this way. No, it is already taken care. We will just remind things, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened in our one of those things, Satish, we had this thing. So in an architecture vision, the architecture, they came and told us about using Pega, which is the workflow that we used. And they also told us about CI/CD pipeline using, GitHub and then Jenkins, configuring that. And then using infrastructure as code, which Terraform is obviously doing using HashiCorp, JSON, and using resource graph. So these context and all will be set in terms of we are going to be using this IAC using Terraform, we'll be using this cherry picking, CI/CD using Jenkins and Puppet and all those things. And then the other kind of things, what workflow, the underlying technical infrastructure, that whole thing is built up, or what is the stack that we are going to use, MERN stack or whatever it is, if it's going to be a cloud-based deployment, all those things will come into being. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Then comes the fourth step, the planning context. And Amrish, can you share that pointers in the chat so that it can be helpful for the participants? Yeah. So then the planning context.
Sure, Satish. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. The planning context and lunch, again, as per the agenda, if you go back, because there is as per the typical day schedule, right? But what if we are doing a distributed PI planning? So there is where that planning context will still be there. So let me go back. What is that planning context? This is where the RT comes into context. And hey, now that we got to know what's the vision, what's the context, what is the roadmap, what features we are working upon, what tools, what context and everything. For this to implement, these are the timelines of the coming PI. That is where the question of Venkatesh comes into context. Okay, as a as a release time, we will go ahead and make use of 5 sprints plus 1 IP sprint. And these are the timelines. So the sprint should start on this day and sprint should end out in this day. So all the sprint calendar, we have a sprint calendar for the entire year, not just for the PI, right? So the teams might be already aware of these details, but yes, again, as a reminder, the RT will mention that these are the sprint timelines. And when the scrum of scrum happens within the team breakouts.
Yeah.
It's another important aspect. Scrum of scrum is not just during the execution, but during the PI planning also, the scrum of scrum should happen. So that is what the RT will say that, hey, once you are done with this, we will split into the individual teams where the team along with the scrum master and product owner, they will work and come up with their own individual team level plan. Scrum masters will have a team scrum of scrum every 1 hour or every 45 minutes. Like that, the RT will set the context to all the scrum masters of the teams. And they will say that, hey, any follow-ups or any discussion is required, feel free to reach out to me so that we will, I will get your doubts or questions clarified, or I will help you bring that stakeholder to that discussion. So there is how the planning context was set. And most of the cases in the distributed PI planning, let me go back to that agenda. If it is a distributed PI planning, if it is like a this is the India team, time zone 2, for example. So it might be already late. I mean, they just mentioned the time zone, but what if like it is already late for them? So the teams will stop here, the India teams, but whereas the US teams will continue with their team records. Then the India teams will, once they come back to the day 2, they will start with their team records and they will do that. So that is where the distributed PI planning agenda, you all need to go through it and understand, and you need to bring it to the what do you say, from your context, your implementation perspective. Okay. There is a question in the chat. What is it? Scrum only attended by SMs or SM and the teams? Only SMs, Abhijit. We will discuss on that part. Why only SMs for the Scrum?
Satish, practically, in whatever projects we have seen, is it 5+1 IP or 4+1 IP?
5+1 IP.
Okay.
If it is a 2-week sprint. For a 3-week sprint, 4+1 IP.
Okay, mostly everywhere it is 2-week sprint.
2-week sprint, so 5+1 IP.
Okay. But what is the recommendation of say?
They will say 4 to 6 sprints. It is up to them.
See, SAFe recommends that the whole PI is for 10 to 12 weeks. Okay. Now, if you split it into sprints, right? 2 weeks of sprints, it comes to 5 to 6 sprints then, right? So last sprint being the IP, there will be 5 sprints and the last IP sprint.
The PI is typically 8 to 12 weeks.
8 to 12 weeks, yeah.
8 to 12 weeks. So,
but how is it possible to complete in 8 weeks?
Why not?
Because it is not aligned with the quarterly thing, right? Because it's every quarterly, and
we are doing monthly release now. So what does it has to do with the quarterly release?
Yes,
we are doing a monthly release.
Oh wow.
So we don't need a quarter. Instead, the teams are raising concern why we are doing that planning for that quarterly when we don't know what should be the scope for the next release and next release. So out of the box discussion, we are doing a monthly release now. I mean, monthly planning also, not the quarterly planning. We came down to the monthly planning. But there is a different context, yes.
And secondly, you know, if your product scope itself is very small, right? I mean, you may not need all the 12 weeks, right?
Exactly. That's my question.
You may complete it sooner, right? So why to wait until 12 weeks, right? You can, if you can finish it in 8 to 10 weeks, that also is sufficient, right? So you may have just 4 iterations and last IP iteration, or maybe if it is, yeah, that's it then.
Then PA planning happens once in every 8 weeks.
Yeah, it may. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, based on the context. Yes.
Based on the context, yeah. If your product is very small, right? The scope of your product development is very small and it can be accommodated, right? So it can happen that way. Or as Satish said, right? If the demand is to do the monthly planning, you may even shrink the size of the PI, right?
So the some expected outcome as part of Scrum Sai, we will come to that. Okay. Yes. Now, as you can see, these are the first 4 steps play a very, very, very key role, and it is a whole release train. Everyone, including the business owners, architects, product manager, everyone will be involved in that. The participants. Once these 4 sessions are done, if we even go from the typical
I'm not clear about the 4th one, planning, context, and lunch.
That is what we are discussing just now, right? So
yeah,
the RT will set how many sprints our current PI is, and when should be the sprint start date and end date, and when is the Scrum happens within the team breakouts, and when we need to come back from that team breakouts. Everything will be set by the RT.
Okay.
So the planning context is about the schedule and logistics also. They may also explain
what happens next.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. See, why this planning context? See, the next step, 5th step is the team breakouts. So the team the 12 team release train now, till now they are in a one common big room or the Zoom session. Now the individual teams will get split into their own individual teams and do their own planning. So this is where the RT should be setting the context. Let me go back. If it is a distributed PI, so the RT will say, hey, thanks teams, know that we are towards end of the day one, the India teams will drop off, and whereas the US teams will continue once they are back from the break, and India teams will touch base tomorrow, so and so day, so and so time, and what needs to be done. So this is all the schedule, the timings, what happens next. That is what as a planning context, the RT will set, remind the team once again, because this will be there already in the agenda meeting in it, but still once again, the RT will say that this is the next steps, what will happen. Good. And then comes the fifth step, the team breakouts, where we will come there. Sorry, we will come there. We'll answer that question. So what happens in the team breakouts is like, who is the facilitator? Scrum Master of that respective team. They are the facilitator. Now it is individual breakouts. Each team will have their own breakout room online, or if it is in person, each team will have their own space to do their planning. The participants, whole team, including the PO and SM for that respective team breakout. What is the shared artifacts? The list of prioritized features of the team already shared. The known dependencies, risks, challenges, issues for the implementation. So there is artifacts which the teammate already having it. What is expected outcome out of this team breakout? 3 to 4 hours team breakout is like, the team should come up with a draft PI plan. The team should come with the draft PI objectives. When you say the draft PI plan, just now we are discussing how long the PI should be, whether it is 4 sprints, 5 sprints, or 6 sprints. Now that we decided that 5 plus 1 sprint, 5 development sprints and 1 IP sprint. So the team should come up with a plan for that, how they want to implement the features for that next 5 sprints. And what's the dependencies across that implementation? What could be the risk for the implementation? That is what the teams should come during that as an expected outcome as part of this team breakouts. Let me go back.
I have a question here. Actually,
Yes.
The features are user stories that needs to go per sprint is decided by prioritized by the POs, right? Generally.
Yes.
But here, how can the team decide? Because the business value and others.
That is the input. That is the input to the team. The list of prioritized features are already given to the team. So the team know that, okay, now that these are the features which we are planning to implement, let's take that as an input and let's start splitting that, aligning that feature into the 5 sprints. How we want to implement that features across the 5 sprints.
So where are the user stories?
So they break down those features.
This is where either during the preparation, the team might already split that feature into high-level user stories, or this is where the team will do that split up of that feature into user stories as well.
Okay, both the ways they are correct.
Yes. So they might, and again, when we say the user story, it won't be in detail user story. It is just maybe one single statement with the high-level estimates, because when they go to the sprint level planning or the backlog refinement, that's when they will spend more time on what is that user story, what is the acceptance criteria, what's the actual estimate, everything they will discuss at the backlog refinement of that respective sprint. Now, within the current 3 to 4 hours of team breakouts, the key focus is like how we can identify the dependencies. Will there be any risk implementing these features, or do we need any additional support, or what could be the challenges implementing this within the next PI?
Okay, instead of drill down user story level, this is going to be for mostly dependencies and risk.
Right? Exactly, that's the thing. Yes, Lalita.
Satish, by this time, after this PI planning, the team should be ready with the next set of stories, right? So by this time, they should at least have the next sprint stories ready.
Yes, the first sprint stories ready, yes, but might not be second, third, and fourth sprint, might not be.
Okay, so they will break down properly for the first sprint now, or it's already done during the last last 2 weeks time, how it goes?
In other cases, it might be, but generally, when we go to that IP sprint, we can discuss a little bit more. Okay, but
Okay.
yes, most of the cases, by now the team might be already having that first set of user stories defined. If not, the team can first finalize what should be the dependencies and risks, the challenges. Accordingly, the scope also might get revised or defined. So that's the reason the team might not be spending more time on going a granular level either for the story definition or the estimates as well.
Okay, got it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yes. Yes, so that is what the team breakouts one. Each team creates a draft plans iteration by iteration or sprint by sprint, and the team identify the risks, dependencies, and draft their initial team level PI objectives. The main intention is to identify the risks and dependencies, because who should work on which story, how much time it may take, that is all secondary. That as a team, they can take care of it. But the focus is like the program board or the dependencies. Let's start discussing on that. So the Lions team, for implementing this, they have a support, or they need a support of the Bears team, Tigers team, or the user experience team. So this is what they need to identify during the team breakouts and say, hey, for us as a team to implement this, if we have to complete this by sprint 2, we want the support of these teams. Right? That is where during the team records, I mentioned that the scrum of scrum should happen on a regular basis, where the scrum masters of the teams come and say, hey, okay, I'm the Lions team scrum master. I might say, hey, Lalita, you are a scrum master for Tigers team. We need your support for getting this implementation done. Can you go back to your team and help us get this dependency plan for your sprint 1 so that we can complete our implementation by sprint 2. Right? So why Scrum of Scrum is happening during the team records? To pass on the dependencies to the other teams so that the teams can plan or revise their plans and make sure the dependencies are taken care of. All right, are we good?
So which tool is used in this?
Any tool. There are multiple paid tools. Instead, I can recommend right now, excuse me, last week I did a session on using the Jira plans.
Yes.
We can use that Jira plans.
Yeah, it's in a Jira, Satish.
Jira, that's it. Why I'm referring the plans? Because if it is an enterprise subscription or a premium subscription, we are getting it free of cost.
Okay, before plans, which tool were using, team were using?
I will share the links of the tools in the chat, but there are multiple tools.
Yeah.
But each tool comes up with their own license cost.
Okay, it could be done with Miro also, right?
Miro also, where if you have that, see the Kendis.io is one of the tools which we used in our organization. Right? See, the dependencies, everything across the teams, everything will come together, and it has integration. They are even coming up with the planning agenda. We can add the time zones. We can add the team capacity, planning the scrum of scrum, program roles, confidence voting, everything can be done within this. And even the ROM, the progress tracking, calculating VGF, everything is there within this Kendis.io as a tool. The same way, we have another tool, iObaya. There is another paid tool. Everything is paid tool. Right? See, these are the dependencies are done. The progress is taken care, the multiple teams planning is there, and we have Jira Align. This is the most costliest tool, if I have to say. Right, $170 per license. It will come. Right. This so the teams will start coming up, and where is it? The dependencies somewhere it should be there. If it's not, okay. But yes, once you take a look at it, you will get an idea. Right. So these are all Miro or Mural. We can use it, provided we have the integration with Jira.
Yeah,
But
normally we
Miro, if
use
we
Confluence also, actually. Confluence also.
Yeah,
We can...
Confluence also. Confluence is simple. You can use a
Yeah.
Confluence as a tool. It's easy, simple tool. We don't want to complicate, or we don't want to bring up the more budget part. That's where I mentioned budget also might be shared. We have only this much of budget. So you want to use for your implementation, the license cost for your tools, software or versions, or you want to spend your budget for your tools. It's up to you.
But Miro, it is not that interactive, right? It is just a sticky. And how do we make you, put the risks and dependencies?
We can.
We can do that in Miro also. Yeah.
Another thing, Satish and Anand, that two tools I'm seeing traction right now in the market, especially when you look at PI planning, is Kendis. Kendis and
Yes.
Jamboard. These two are getting traction. So, folks, you can just try out Kendis or just read about it. Maybe I have not used it, but I've heard a lot of people use it specifically. Especially for PI planning, it's very intuitive.
Yeah. In fact, my client is using PIplanning.io. Okay, and I think it is also now accredited by SAFE, right?
Yes, Scale Agile. Yes.
Scale Agile. Yeah. So and PIplanning.io is also integrated with Jira. Okay, so whichever
all these tools are integrated with everything else, right? So the Jira, see, it has this Jira and Slack integration. Everything is there. Everything is there. So we used Kendis.io.
Okay, great.
Correct.
So how Kendis is, Satish? Is it also one of the costliest tool? Is it?
Not costliest. I guess it used to come as $80 per license or something. I don't remember exactly. But yes, so I'm the admin again for this thing, Kendis.io. I'm the admin from my organization perspective. I did all the setup, everything from the scratch for the program board, the sprint setup, the team setup, everything, the integration with Jira, everything we did that.
So Kendis has an integration with Azure DevOps also, right?
Yes. All these tools, they are not just focusing on Jira, because a lot of organizations are using Azure DevOps or Jira or different tools, right? So they also want to make sure grabbing the customers or making sure like they're getting benefit out of it, right? If they say only for Jira, they might lose the market or the business.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Are you good? How is the flow going?
Yes, Satish, I have one question. Should we come up with the capacity for the entire PI during this planning?
Yes, the capacity should be defined, but again, as we go to the sprint on sprint, it might get revised. Right? For now, we'll say, okay, as of now, as of date, this is the capacity of the teams. What if by the time we go to sprint 3, the team might add more leaves or something else might happen? The capacity at that point of time might change. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yes, Pranay.
No, I was saying the average they are sharing at the time of a PI, and it's keep revised, something like that.
It might revise as you go into that sprint on sprint.
Yes.
Okay.
But at a high level, when we do the PI planning, right? Okay, at a high level, as we do the stories at a high level, we also come up with the capacity for every iteration. Otherwise, you cannot split the stories into multiple iterations if you do not know the capacity of each iteration, right? But yes, as we said, right, it could be high level, it can change. Okay, but that gives a rough indication or idea at least that how your stories which you have splitted, right, when you did the feature breakdown, how they will split into multiple iteration. It will depend on the capacity, right, for each iteration.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So this program board, again, it is we even used a physical whiteboard for doing that in-person PI planning. We even did that. So it's not about the tool, but it's about like making sure whether the team is identifying the process, I mean the dependencies of this and getting it addressed. That is the main intention of that team breakout one. Then the draft plan review. So once the teams are done with that, the 3 to 4 hours of the breakout, all the teams will come back and they will share the draft plan review. What's the key planning outputs? What is that includes the capacity and the objectives. The main intention is the potential risks and dependencies. This is what the main focus of this draft plan review. So what happens is the business owners, product management, and other teams and the stakeholders, they review and they provide input. Right? So
I have a question here.
Yes.
You say there is a they will come out with the dependency and the risk, right? Risk I do understand, but without looking at the program board, how the team will identify the dependencies?
Program board will be visible for everyone.
Okay.
Right? See, the team.
No, during breakout session, they discuss about the capacity and they will know that which feature comes it in which iteration and all, and risks also.
Yes.
But the dependency, once it is available during the draft plan review, then only they will know about the dependency, right? Because this feature is dependent on this. It is available or it is visible to them only during the draft, right? But before draft, how do they identify the dependency?
Let me give you an example. See, I have to do that account management, right? For which I need a customer ID. Right? I can't display account of Venkatesh or account of Anand or account of Lalita. So I need the customer ID as an input for using which I can do the account management. Even before going into the PI planning, I know that this is my dependency. From where I will get that customer ID? From the login team. That's it. I don't have to worry about what is the dependencies of payments team, what's the dependencies of rewards team. They will take care of it. They will focus on that. For my team, for my